Okay, this week we've been talking about converting metric units of length, mass, and capacity. And to do that, we have used the strategy King Henry. So, King Henry died, base, drinking chocolate milk. Now, our base could be meters, liter, or gram. So our base could be any of those. So that means we could have kilometer or kilogram or kiloliter, although you don't hear that very often. You could have centimeter or centiliter or centigram, although you don't really hear about centiliters or centigrams very often. You can have millimeter, milliliter, or milligram. So these are all prefixes that get put on our base word, our base unit of measure. So now we are going to look at how can we convert metric units from a smaller unit to a larger unit. This week we've been doing larger units to smaller units. We would say kilometers to meters. And that would be a larger unit to a smaller unit. Today I want to look at maybe taking it from millimeters to meters. So we would be going backwards. Okay? Smaller to big. So let's say that I am trying to find 28 centimeters. And I want to know how many meters I have. Okay? So I'm going to start on what letter? C. And I'm going to move until I get to meter, the base. Okay? So I'm going to go 1, 2. So I'm going to have to move how many times? 1, 2. What direction am I moving? Backwards. So now I've got the number 28. Where's my invisible decimal? Is it here? Is my invisible decimal here? Is it here? No, it's right here, right? So I'm going to put my pencil here, and I'm going to move it 1, 2 places to the left. 1, 2. So now my decimal is in front of the 28. So it is 28 hundredths of a meter. If you're going forward, you move your decimal forward. If you're going... Oh, this 0 here? Yeah. Yeah, I just put the 0 there as a placeholder.
So the starter stays the starter.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, but you just move the decimal.
Okay, that's easy.
So your digits are going to stay the same, and they'll stay in the same order. The only difference is where that decimal is going.
So do you want us to put a 0 in front of it?
I like a 0 in front because it tells me that there is nothing in the ones place and that this is a decimal number. All right, so let's look at one more example. Let's say that I have,
36.
Okay. So, all right, I like it, 36 centimeters. And I'm trying to go to what? Or meters? Or, yeah. Well, we can't, because that would be like trying to go from inches to pounds. Like how many inches are in a pound? You can't really do that, because liters are like liquid and then inches are like distance. So, but we could do meters. We could do meters. Okay? So, again, I'm going to start with C for centimeters. And I'm going to move my pencil until I get to M for meters. 1, 2. And I went backwards. So my decimal moves 1, 2 backwards. So now it is 36 meters. All right? Now, what if your number has a decimal already in it? What if I have like 14 thousandths? Let's have 14 thousandths kilometers. And I'm trying to go to meters. All right? So I'm going to start with kilometers, which is the K, and I'm going to move until I get to meters, which is the M. 1, 2, 3. What direction did I move? Forwards or backwards? Forwards. So that means I'm going to need to take my decimal and move it 3 places the same direction, to the right or forwards. Now, over here, remember we started back behind the number? And on this one, we started back behind the number. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
That's because there was no decimal already in that number. But look, do we have a decimal already in the number?
Yeah.
That's where you start. Wherever the decimal is where you start. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3 to the right. So now my number looks like 0, 0, 1, 4. Does that make much sense? What should I drop? I'm going to get rid of these zeros because they don't mean anything. They're not placeholders. They're in front for no good reason. So, I wrote the number backwards. I wrote 41 instead of 14. Yeah, it's just 14, but I wrote 41 instead. Thank goodness I was using a pencil. 14 meters. Because I started at the decimal and I moved 1, 2, 3 places over. All right? Which part?
I don't get how you did before.
Okay, so you're talking about where I started on the decimal? Did you understand that part, where I put my pencil on the decimal and moved?
I didn't understand that.
But then to take it from 0014? And then, okay, so what does this mean? So remember, my decimal is now back here. So that means that this is now in the ones place. This is the tens place. This is hundreds. This is thousands. So this means that I have nothing in the thousands place. And I have nothing in the hundreds place. But I have a 10 and a 4. So 10 plus 4 is 14. But I have nothing in the hundreds and nothing in the thousands. So I can actually just not represent the hundreds and thousands because there's nothing there. 0 means nothing. So I can just drop those zeros because they don't mean anything. And it's just 14. Really, you can, if I started with the number 12, I could put as many zeros in front of this as I wanted and it would still just be 12. I could keep going to infinity and it would still just be 12. And then if I put a decimal behind it, as long as I have my decimal here, I can put as many zeros behind it as I want. And it's still 12. Because all those zeros mean nothing.
4 zeros.
So, this number, even with all its many, many, many zeros, it's still just 12.
That's boring.
That's a little exciting.
You said I didn't know.
I can't squeak.
I want 17,000 zeros.
You like that? Okay. So today you are going to be converting within the metric system. I suggest using King Henry to help. And remember to make sure you're looking for where your decimal is and what direction you're going to be going.